A beacon among the stars. The colossal starship Prometheus Ascendant carved through the void of interstellar space, its matte black hull absorbing the faint glimmers of distant stars. It was the pride of humanity's united Terran Federation, a vessel built not merely as a weapon of war, but as a testament to human ingenuity and resolve. Commanding it was Captain Elias Carter, a seasoned explorer and veteran of humanity's long, tumultuous journey to claim its place among the stars. On the bridge, the atmosphere was calm, but charged with the silent hum of anticipation. The Prometheus had been on an extended patrol mission along the edge of known space, a sector rich with potential yet fraught with mystery. Today, however, it was not just the vast emptiness of space that held their attention. "Captain, we're picking up an anomaly on the quantum flux scanners," reported Lieutenant Adriana Vega, her brow furrowed as she analyzed the data streaming across her console. "It's unusual. A series of synchronized signals, highly structured, definitely artificial." Carter turned to face her, his piercing gray eyes locking onto the display. "Distance: approximately 2.7 light-years, sir," Vega replied. "It's faint but unmistakable. Whatever it is, it's not natural." The captain stroked his chin, a habit born from years of navigating the unknown. "Is it moving?" "Yes, sir," Vega confirmed. "Several distinct signatures. They're maintaining a formation and moving at sublight speeds, but the sheer energy output is staggering." "On screen," Carter ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a magnified image of the anomaly. Even from this distance, the shapes were discernible. Massive constructs shimmering against the darkness, their outlines glowing faintly with an iridescent light. They resembled no known vessels, their designs alien yet hauntingly deliberate. "What do we know about this region?" Carter asked. Commander Sarah Nolan, his second-in-command, stepped forward. "Sparse exploration data, sir. No known civilizations or significant resources in this sector. It's a blank slate." Carter nodded, his mind racing through possibilities. Humanity had encountered other species before, some peaceful, others not. But this was something different. These ships weren't just large. They were monumental, their size dwarfing even the Prometheus, itself one of the largest vessels ever constructed. "Open a probe launch tube," Carter said decisively. "Send out a Mark VI reconnaissance drone. I want detailed scans." The order was quickly executed, and the bridge crew watched as a sleek, silver drone shot out from the Prometheus, its thrusters propelling it toward the alien fleet. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the drone began transmitting its data back. "Sir," said Vega, her voice trembling with a mix of awe and unease, "these ships are covered in layers of material we can't identify. Their power systems, they're generating energy levels orders of magnitude beyond anything we've seen. And those formations, they're not just random. They're tactical." "Tactical," Nolan echoed. "Are they preparing for an attack?" "Not necessarily," Carter interjected, "but they're organized. That suggests intelligence and purpose." Before anyone could respond, the communications console chimed. Lieutenant Jacob Rains, the communications officer, looked up in surprise. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the largest ship." The bridge went silent. Carter exchanged a glance with Nolan before nodding. "Put it through." A voice filled the air, deep and resonant, speaking in a language no human had ever heard. The ship's universal translator worked rapidly, piecing together meaning from the complex syntax and phonemes. Slowly, the alien words transformed into comprehensible speech. "This is High Commander Auric Valos of the Akurian Ascendancy. Identify yourselves." The weight of the words pressed upon the bridge like a tangible force. Carter rose from his chair, his posture calm but commanding. "This is Captain Elias Carter of the United Terran Federation vessel Prometheus Ascendant. We are explorers, traveling in search of knowledge and understanding. We mean no harm." There was a pause, during which the alien ships maintained their slow, deliberate movements. Then the voice returned, its tone measured but filled with curiosity. "Explorers," Valos said, the word carrying an almost reverent intonation. "Your vessel is formidable, yet it pales in comparison to the might of the Ascendancy. Why have you ventured into this realm?" Carter chose his words carefully, knowing the precariousness of first contact. "We seek to understand the unknown, and to learn from those we encounter. Your presence here is remarkable. We have never seen ships of such scale or design. We are honored to meet you." On the screen, the alien fleet began to shift. The largest ship, a towering construct of shimmering metal and pulsating light, tilted slightly, aligning its prow toward the Prometheus. It was a gesture that seemed deliberate, almost welcoming. "You speak with respect," Valos said. "That is uncommon among the species we encounter. Perhaps you are worth knowing. Approach, Captain Carter, and we shall determine if your people are worthy of our attention." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Carter exhaled slowly, his mind racing. "Helm, set a course for the flagship," he commanded, "and maintain full readiness. We don't know what we're walking into." As the Prometheus Ascendant began its cautious approach, Carter couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting would define not only his career but humanity's place in the galaxy. The Akirians were clearly powerful, perhaps even dangerous. But there was an undeniable opportunity here. An opportunity to bridge the gap between two civilizations, or to spark a conflict that could engulf the stars. Either way, the course was set, and there was no turning back. The meeting of Titans. The Prometheus Ascendant drifted closer to the colossal Akirian flagship, its shimmering hull glowing faintly against the darkness. On the bridge, the tension was palpable, every officer hyper-focused on their station. The enormity of the alien vessel was staggering. It dwarfed even the largest constructs humanity had ever conceived. Its surface bristled with mysterious devices and undulating patterns of light that pulsed like a living entity. "Captain," Lieutenant Adriana Vega said, her voice barely above a whisper, "we're being scanned. The readings are unlike anything I've seen before. They're analyzing us down to the molecular level." "Stay calm," Captain Elias Carter replied, his voice steady. "This is likely a standard procedure. They're trying to understand who we are, just as we're trying to understand them." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but they trusted Carter's leadership. The Akirians hadn't shown any aggression so far, but the sheer scale of their ships and their unknown capabilities was enough to keep every nerve on edge. "Commander Nolan," Carter said, turning to his second-in-command, "prepare a diplomatic team. I want our brightest minds and most adaptable officers on this. Ensure they're briefed on every protocol for first contact." Nolan nodded. "Understood, Captain. I'll assemble the team immediately." As she left the bridge, Carter's gaze returned to the massive ship looming ahead. The Akirian fleet maintained a perfect formation, their movements fluid and synchronized, almost as though they were extensions of a single unified mind. It was both mesmerizing and unnerving. A chime echoed through the bridge, followed by the calm voice of Lieutenant Jacob Rains. "Captain, the Akirian flagship is transmitting docking coordinates. They're inviting us aboard." Carter straightened. "Acknowledged. Helm, adjust our course to match their coordinates. Approach with precision." The Prometheus responded smoothly, its thrusters firing in gentle bursts as it aligned itself with the docking port of the alien behemoth. The moment of contact was seamless, a testament to the advanced engineering on both sides. "Docking complete," Rains announced. "The Akirians have provided atmospheric readings. It's compatible with our systems." "Good," Carter said. He stood and adjusted the collar of his uniform, a subtle but deliberate gesture. "Nolan, is the team ready?" "They're assembled in the main hangar," she replied, stepping back onto the bridge. "We've prepared an array of diplomatic tools, translation devices, and cultural reference materials." "Excellent. Let's move." The airlock connecting the Prometheus to the Akirian flagship hissed as it decompressed. Carter led the delegation, flanked by Commander Nolan and Lieutenant Vega. Behind them, a small team of scientists and security personnel carried advanced scanners and cultural gifts, a gesture of goodwill that had been a staple of first contact missions. As the doors slid open, the humans were greeted by a sight that stopped them in their tracks. The interior of the Akarian ship was a marvel of alien architecture. Towering, crystalline structures pulsed with a soft, radiant glow, casting shifting patterns of light onto the sleek, metallic floors. The air was rich with a faint, pleasant scent that reminded Carter of an Earth rainforest after a storm. Standing before them were the Akarians. They were taller than humans, their elongated forms draped in robes that shimmered like liquid silver. Their skin glowed faintly, shifting in color like the surface of a pearl. And their eyes, large, multifaceted, and impossibly deep, seemed to see not just the humans but through them. The leader stepped forward, a commanding presence among their kind. "I am High Commander Auric Valos," he said, his voice resonant and melodic. "Welcome aboard the Eternum Ascendant. Your arrival marks a moment of curiosity and cautious optimism for our people." Carter inclined his head respectfully. "High Commander Valos, it is an honor to be here. On behalf of the United Terran Federation, we extend our greetings and our hopes for peaceful cooperation." Valos regarded Carter with an expression that was unreadable but not unfriendly. "Your words are well chosen, Captain. Your presence here is unexpected, yet intriguing. The Terran Federation, you say. A federation implies unity. Are your people unified?" Carter hesitated for a fraction of a second. The truth was complicated, but diplomacy required careful framing. "We strive for unity, though our diversity is one of our greatest strengths. We have learned to adapt, to survive, and to grow stronger through cooperation." Velos's luminous eyes seemed to glimmer with approval. "A commendable philosophy. Tell me, Captain, what drives your people to venture so far into the unknown?" Carter met his gaze evenly. "Curiosity. A desire to understand the universe and our place within it. We believe that through exploration and discovery, we can become more than we are." The High Commander gestured for the humans to follow. "Walk with me, Captain. There is much to discuss." As they moved through the alien vessel, Carter and his team marveled at its design. The corridors seemed to shift subtly as they walked, adjusting to their presence. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings that glowed faintly, depicting scenes of star systems and what appeared to be the Akarians themselves, standing as guardians of the cosmos. "Your ship is extraordinary," Nolan said, her voice filled with genuine awe. "It's unlike anything we've encountered." Valos nodded. "The Eternum Ascendant is more than a ship. It is a sanctuary, a repository of our knowledge and history. For centuries, we have journeyed among the stars, seeking wisdom and protecting our people." As they reached a vast chamber, the humans stopped, their breath taken away. A massive holographic display filled the space, depicting a swirling galaxy. Within it, countless pinpricks of light represented star systems, each marked with symbols the humans couldn't decipher. "This is our purpose," Valos said, his voice reverent. "To explore, to protect, and to preserve the balance of the universe. Your arrival here, it is not mere coincidence." Carter frowned. "What do you mean?" Valos turned to face him fully. "There is a storm on the horizon, Captain. Forces are stirring in the galaxy that threaten not only our people but all who dwell among the stars. Perhaps your arrival is a sign that together we may yet weather what is to come." The weight of Valos's words hung heavy in the air. Carter exchanged a glance with Nolan, both understanding the significance of the moment. The Akarians were offering more than just an introduction. They were hinting at an alliance, forged not out of convenience but necessity. Carter stepped forward. "High Commander Valos, humanity has faced many storms in its history, and we have always emerged stronger. If there is a threat to the galaxy, you have our commitment to stand with you." Valos's luminous eyes gleamed, and for the first time, he smiled, a subtle but unmistakable gesture of trust. Then let us begin, Captain. Together, we may yet shape the future of the stars. Secrets of the Ancient Void. The chamber aboard the Eternum Ascendant felt alive, humming with energy that seemed to vibrate in harmony with the thoughts of those within it. Captain Elias Carter and his delegation stood at the center of the room, awestruck by the towering holographic projection of a galaxy swirling above them. Each pinprick of light represented a star system, connected by intricate, glowing lines that pulsed rhythmically like veins carrying lifeblood through the cosmos. High Commander Auric Velos gestured toward the projection, his silken robes catching the light. "This is our star chart of ages," he began, his resonant voice filling the room. "Every star, every system, every civilization we have encountered over millennia is recorded here. And now, your Terran Federation becomes part of this tapestry." Carter's gaze followed Valos's gesture as the hologram shifted. A small blinking light appeared near the outer edge of the galaxy, a representation of humanity's corner of the universe. He couldn't help but feel a pang of humility at how insignificant it seemed among the vast sea of stars. "This is remarkable," said Lieutenant Adriana Vega, stepping forward to study the projection more closely. "Your knowledge spans so much. Yet you implied there are threats rising in the galaxy. What exactly are we facing?" Velos' expression darkened, his luminous eyes dimming slightly. "The threat we speak of is not new, Lieutenant Vega. It is ancient, older than the Icarians, perhaps as old as the stars themselves." He waved a hand, and the hologram shifted again. The galaxy zoomed outward, revealing a blackened expanse beyond its edges. Within that void, a faint but ominous red glow pulsated, radiating outward like the slow beat of a colossal heart. "We call it the abyssal singularity," Velos continued. "It is a region of space where light itself is consumed, and within it resides a force we have come to know as the architects of oblivion." The name sent a chill through the humans. Carter's mind raced. Architects of oblivion. What are they? "Not beings, as you might imagine," Velos clarified. "They are more akin to a living force, a sentient storm of destruction. Their purpose is singular, to consume and repurpose all matter, all energy, until nothing remains but their own design." Commander Sarah Nolan crossed her arms, her voice laced with skepticism. "If they're so ancient, why haven't they destroyed the galaxy already?" Velos turned to face her, his glowing eyes meeting hers. "Because they do not move quickly, Commander. They are patient. They consume in waves, testing the strength of the galaxy's inhabitants. For eons, we have held them at bay, containing their spread. But now, their reach has extended further than ever before." The tension in the room grew thick as Velos manipulated the hologram once more, revealing a faint red tendril creeping toward the inner parts of the galaxy. The tendril's endpoint glimmered dangerously close to the Icarian territory, and not far from humanity's own space. Carter stepped forward, his face a mask of determination. "If this threat is as dire as you say, why are we only learning about it now? Why haven't you sought alliances with other civilizations before?" Velos's gaze softened, a hint of regret in his expression. "The Icarians are not infallible, Captain. For centuries, we believed we could contain the abyssal singularity on our own. We are a proud people, reluctant to admit when we require aid. But now we see the folly of isolation." Carter nodded, understanding the burden of pride all too well. "Then we must act together. Humanity has faced countless challenges, and we've learned to adapt and overcome. We may not have your knowledge or technology, but we bring ingenuity and resilience to the table." Velos smiled faintly. "Indeed, Captain. Your species' ability to endure hardship is evident, even from what little we have observed." The chamber fell silent for a moment as the humans and Icarians exchanged a quiet understanding. Then, from the back of the human delegation, Lieutenant Vega broke the silence. "High Commander, you mentioned this force consumes and repurposes. What does that mean? Does it transform what it takes. Velos' expression grew somber. Yes, those consumed by the architects do not simply vanish. They are assimilated, their essence twisted into new forms that serve the abyssal singularity. Ships, planets, even living beings, everything is altered to further its purpose. The gravity of his words sent a wave of unease through the humans. Nolan clenched her fists. If they're this dangerous, then why not mobilize every civilization in the galaxy to fight them? Surely a united front would stand a better chance. Unity is easier said than achieved, Velos replied. Many species distrust one another, their histories marred by conflict and greed. Others refuse to acknowledge the threat, believing themselves safe in their isolation. Carter squared his shoulders. Then it starts with us. Humanity and the Icarians. If we work together, we can set an example for others to follow. Velos studied him for a long moment, then inclined his head. Perhaps you are right, Captain. If your people are willing to stand against the architects, we may yet have a chance. Before the meeting concluded, Velos presented a final gesture of trust. He extended a hand toward a nearby console, and a section of the chamber's wall shimmered and parted, revealing an artifact unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It was a crystalline sphere, pulsing faintly with an internal light that seemed almost alive. This, Velos said, his voice filled with reverence, is an echo shard. It is a fragment of technology left behind by a civilization that once fought the architects and prevailed, though at great cost. Its power is immense, but its purpose remains enigmatic. We believe it holds the key to resisting the abyssal singularity. Carter stepped closer, his eyes fixed on the glowing shard. Then we'll study it together. Whatever secrets it holds, we'll uncover them. Velos extended his hand toward Carter, the gesture bridging the gap between their species. Then let this be the beginning of a partnership, Captain. Together, we may yet defy the architects of oblivion. As their hands clasped, the swirling galaxy above them shifted, the red glow of the abyssal singularity retreating ever so slightly. It was a small symbolic victory, but one that carried the weight of hope. Shadows of the abyss. The journey back to the Prometheus Ascendant felt heavier, the air between Captain Elias Carter and his crew thick with unspoken thoughts. The revelation of the abyssal singularity, a consuming force of unimaginable scale, had fundamentally altered the mission. What had started as a diplomatic encounter with the Icarians had transformed into a rallying call for survival. The docking bay aboard the Icarian flagship shimmered with faint blue light as Carter turned to High Commander Auric Velos one final time before departing. "We'll begin preparations immediately," Carter said, his voice resolute. "If this singularity is encroaching on our sector, the United Terran Federation must be informed. We'll stand with you." Velos inclined his head, his multifaceted eyes glinting with a mix of gratitude and gravity. "Time is not your ally, Captain. The architects do not announce their approach with fleets or armies. By the time their presence is felt, they are already entrenched. I suggest haste." Carter nodded sharply. "Understood. You have my word." As the Prometheus Ascendant disengaged from the Icarian flagship and resumed its course through the void, the weight of the moment settled heavily on the bridge crew. The view of the massive Icarian fleet shrinking into the distance was both humbling and unsettling. For all their technological might, the Icarians had confessed their vulnerability. "We're dealing with something that makes our greatest threats look like playground scuffles," said Lieutenant Adriana Vega as she leaned over her console, scanning for anomalies. "Captain, do you think Earth will even believe this?" "They'll believe it because we'll show them," Carter replied. "Our long-range scans, the Echo Shard, everything we've learned from the Icarians. It'll be undeniable. But first, we need to get home in one piece." "Sir," interrupted Ensign Jackson Lai, seated at the navigation station, "there's a distortion forming directly ahead. It's unlike anything we've encountered." The bridge fell silent as the main screen displayed a swirling vortex in the distance, faint but growing larger with every passing second. Its edges shimmered with crimson light, a stark contrast against the cold black of space. "Full stop," Carter ordered, rising from his chair. "Adriana, what are we looking at?" Vega's hands moved rapidly across her console, her brow furrowed. "It's a gravitational anomaly, but it's not natural. Energy readings suggest an artificial origin." Nolan, standing beside Carter, narrowed her eyes. Could it be one of theirs, a scout or vanguard for the architects? "Let's not jump to conclusions," Carter said, though his own instincts screamed otherwise. "Jackson, adjust our position. Keep us at a safe distance. Vega, launch a probe." The probe darted from the ship's belly, its silver frame gleaming briefly before disappearing into the swirling vortex. The crew waited in tense silence as data began to stream back. "This is unsettling," Vega said, her voice tight. "The probe's telemetry shows a pocket of space that's been completely destabilized. Matter is being broken down and restructured. Whatever's on the other side, it's not friendly." "Bring the probe back," Carter said quickly. Before Vega could respond, the vortex expanded suddenly, spewing debris and flashing with crimson light. The bridge shook violently, and alarms blared as the Prometheus struggled to stabilize. "Captain," shouted Jackson, "we're being pulled in. Engage reverse thrusters. Full power," Carter barked. The ship's engines roared, pushing against the immense gravitational force. But the vortex wasn't just a natural phenomenon. It was intelligent, adapting to the Prometheus's resistance. The pull grew stronger, relentless, and unyielding. Then, out of the vortex, emerged a shape. The alien construct defied comprehension. It was enormous, an angular amalgamation of jagged black metal and glowing red veins. It moved like a predator, its surface rippling with energy that crackled and sparked in the vacuum of space. The architects had arrived. "Shields up," Carter commanded. "Vega, analyze that thing. I need to know what we're up against." "Working on it," Vega replied, her fingers flying over her console. "Captain, it's emitting energy signatures identical to the Icurian's description of the architect's constructs. But there's something else. It's scanning us, trying to interface with our systems." "Not on my watch," growled Lieutenant Eric Stroud, head of engineering. "I'll lock them out." The construct moved closer, its shape shifting as it approached. Portions of its surface reconfigured, forming spines that pulsed ominously. A second later, it fired. A crimson beam streaked through the void, slamming into the Prometheus's shields. The impact rocked the ship, throwing crew members to the floor. "Shields holding at 67%, shouted Nolan. "They'll collapse if we take another hit like that." "Return fire," Carter ordered. The Prometheus unleashed a barrage of kinetic rounds and plasma bursts, each shot carefully aimed at the construct's shifting form. The strikes hit their mark, but instead of damage, the construct absorbed the energy, its glow intensifying. "They're adapting to our weapons," Vega warned. "If we keep firing, we'll just make it stronger." "Then we need another strategy," Carter said. "Eric, can we overload their systems with a feedback pulse?" Stroud's eyes lit up. "It's risky, but I can reconfigure our communications array to deliver an electromagnetic shockwave. It might disrupt their structure, but it'll leave us vulnerable for a few seconds." "Do it," Carter said. "Vega, prepare the crew for evasive maneuvers. Jackson, plot a course out of here. The moment the thing is disabled, we're jumping to FTL." The seconds stretched into an eternity as the crew worked frantically. The alien construct loomed ever closer, its shape warping grotesquely as it prepared to fire again. "Pulse ready," Stroud announced. "Fire it," Carter shouted. The ship's communications array discharged a powerful electromagnetic pulse. A blinding flash erupted, momentarily blurring the view screen. The construct froze mid-attack, its surface rippling as though in agony. For the first time, it faltered. "Now," Carter barked. The Prometheus Ascendant surged forward, its engines blazing as it broke free from the vortex's pull. In a heartbeat, the ship entered faster than light travel, leaving the anomaly and the construct far behind. In the silence that followed, the bridge crew sat in stunned disbelief. The alien construct, its adaptability, and the sheer malevolence it radiated were unlike anything they'd encountered. It was clear now that the architects were not a distant threat. They were already here. Carter exhaled deeply, his hands gripping the edges of his chair. Set a course for Earth. We need to warn the Federation. The architects aren't waiting for us to prepare. They're already moving. Nolan nodded grimly. And if that was just one construct, what happens when the rest arrive? As the Prometheus Ascendant sailed into the void, the crew knew they had witnessed the opening move of a much larger game. The question now was whether humanity and the galaxy would survive long enough to make the next. Humanity's rallying call. The Prometheus Ascendant emerged from faster-than-light travel, the glittering blue-green orb of Earth dominating the main view screen. Captain Elias Carter stood at the command console, his eyes locked on the familiar sight. For all the beauty of the planet, it now seemed fragile, a lone gem against the rising tide of the abyssal singularity. Comms, open a secure channel to the United Terran Council, Carter ordered, his voice firm. This isn't a standard report. They need to hear everything, immediately. Lieutenant Jacob Rains nodded and began transmitting. Channel open, sir. A moment later, the holographic image of Chancellor Miriam Hargrove, head of the Terran Federation, materialized on the bridge. Her sharp, calculating gaze swept over the room, lingering on Carter. Captain Carter, she began, her tone brisk. We've received fragments of your initial transmissions, something about an imminent galactic threat. Explain. Carter stepped forward, straightening his uniform. Madam Chancellor, during our mission at the edge of known space, we made contact with the Akurian Ascendancy, an advanced civilization. They revealed a threat they call the abyssal singularity, a force of destruction that consumes entire systems. We encountered one of its constructs during our return. It's unlike anything we've ever faced. Hargrove's expression darkened. A consuming force? Are you suggesting an invasion? Not an invasion in the traditional sense, Carter clarified. The abyssal singularity doesn't send armies. It sends these constructs, adaptive, living machines that assimilate and repurpose everything they encounter. The Akurians have been holding them at bay for centuries, but they're losing ground. If we don't act, Earth could be next. The Chancellor remained silent, her face a mask of stoic calculation. Finally, she spoke. Your claims are extraordinary, Captain. Do you have evidence? Yes, Carter said, gesturing to Lieutenant Adriana Vega. She activated the ship's main display, projecting scans of the abyssal construct and the data gathered from their encounter. The detailed readings showed the construct's size, power output, and the destructive capabilities it had demonstrated. This is just one construct, Carter said. The Akurians warned us there are many more, and they're advancing. The Chancellor studied the projections intently. If what you say is true, this threat is existential, but the Council will need more than data to act. What do the Akurians propose? They believe only a united front can resist the abyssal singularity, Carter replied. They've extended an offer of alliance. They're willing to share their knowledge and technology if we stand with them. Hargrove leaned back in her chair, her lips pursed. Humanity has never entered into an interstellar alliance of this scale. The implications are staggering. With respect, Madam Chancellor, Carter said, his voice hardening, the implications of doing nothing are extinction. The Akurians have faced the abyssal singularity for centuries. We've faced it once, and it nearly destroyed us. We cannot fight this alone. The holographic chamber around the Chancellor filled with murmurs as other council members appeared, their forms flickering into view. They debated fiercely, their voices overlapping. Do we even have the resources to contribute meaningfully? One councillor asked. Can we trust the Akurians? Another countered. Carter raised his voice. cutting through the noise. Counselors, this isn't about trust or resources. This is about survival. We've been given a chance to prepare, but the clock is ticking. We need to act. Now. After what felt like an eternity, Hargrove raised a hand, silencing the room. Captain Carter, your argument is compelling. The Council will convene an emergency session to determine the extent of our commitment. In the meantime, you are authorized to begin preparations for an interstellar summit with the Icurians. Humanity's survival may depend on the alliances we forge. Understood, Madam Chancellor, Carter said, relief evident in his tone. The holograms faded, leaving the bridge in silence. Carter turned to his crew. You heard her. We've got a lot of work to do. The Prometheus Ascendant became a hub of activity as the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the summit. Messages were dispatched to Earth's allies in nearby systems, inviting them to join the meeting. Engineers upgraded the ship's systems, integrating the data provided by the Icurians. In the science lab, Lieutenant Vega and her team analyzed the Echo Shard, hoping to unlock its secrets. Captain, Vega said during a briefing, holding the shard in a containment field. This artifact is, beyond anything we've encountered. It's not just a weapon. It's a repository of knowledge. I believe it contains a blueprint for counteracting the Singularity's constructs. Can you extract the data? Carter asked. We're working on it, Vega replied. But the shard's technology is almost alive. It responds to stimuli, but only within certain parameters. It's like it's waiting for something. Keep at it, Carter said. That shard could be our best hope. Days later, the summit was underway. The Prometheus Ascendant orbited a neutral system, where representatives from Earth's colonies, allied species, and the Icurians gathered aboard a massive space station. The atmosphere buzzed with tension and urgency. High Commander Velos stood beside Carter as they addressed the assembly. The Icurians' commanding presence seemed to silence any dissent before it could begin. Leaders of the galaxy, Velos began, his voice echoing through the chamber. The abyssal singularity is not a distant threat. It is here, it is growing, and it will not stop until it has consumed everything. Carter stepped forward. Humanity has faced extinction before. We've rebuilt from nothing and risen stronger each time. But this enemy is unlike any we've encountered. If we stand alone, we fall. Together, we have a chance. The room erupted into debate, representatives arguing over the risks and rewards of an alliance. Some expressed skepticism about the Icurians' motives, while others questioned humanity's ability to contribute meaningfully. Velos raised his hand, silencing the crowd. The singularity does not discriminate. It will consume us all, Icurian, human, or otherwise. This is no longer about individual survival. It is about preserving the galaxy itself. A hush fell over the room as the weight of his words sank in. Finally, an elderly human representative stood. Captain Carter, High Commander Velos, if humanity commits to this alliance, what's our first move? Carter exchanged a glance with Velos, then spoke. We take the fight to them. Together, we develop a countermeasure to their constructs, using what we've learned from the Echo Shard. We strengthen our defenses, coordinate our fleets, and face this threat head-on. If we fail together. But if we succeed, we save everything. The chamber erupted into applause and murmurs of agreement. For the first time, unity seemed possible. As the summit adjourned, Carter allowed himself a rare moment of hope. The galaxy was rallying, but the battle ahead would be the greatest test humanity, and its allies, had ever faced.